Under heavy security, Brenton Tarrant was flown by the New Zealand Air Force back to Christchurch, the city where he inflicted so much pain on so many. Since the attack, the Australian has been held in a maximum security prison in Auckland, where once the sentence is handed down, he's likely to spend the rest of his life. There was also tight security at the court, where Tarrant will sit for the next few days, facing and listening to the victims and their family members.
Allah is gone, but never forgotten. He will always be the light of our lives, and we will live his legacy every day.
Her son, Atta Alian, was one of 44 people killed during Friday prayers at the Al-Noor Mosque, where Tarrant began his assault armed with 6 high-powered guns. He then drove across town to the Linwood Mosque and killed 7 more before he was arrested. He streamed the attacks on the internet and had earlier uploaded a manifesto detailing his obsession with white supremacy and his hatred of Muslims. The court heard he wanted to inflict as many fatalities as possible and burn down the mosques afterwards. He had studied their floor plans in advance and targeted the mosques when he knew they would be busy.
The planned time for entry was to ensure the maximum number of worshippers would be present. The defendant analysed the mosque layouts to determine likely exit routes fleeing worshippers might utilise.
Survivors spoke of his failure to achieve his goal of spreading hate and sowing divisions.
The heart is broken because we are not broken. We are come more united. From just you make that, and thank you for that.
After a surprise guilty plea in March, Tarrant's sentencing was delayed because of coronavirus restrictions. Despite the lack of a trial, the judge said he wanted those affected to have their say in court, to help bring finality and closure. That painful process is underway and a sentence is likely to be handed down on Thursday. Wayne Hay, Al Jazeera.
Well, Praveen Menon is Bureau Chief at Thomson Reuters New Zealand, who's following the proceedings. He says there's been a stream of support for the survivors.
These attacks were approached very differently by New Zealand. You know, the moment this happened, there was an outpouring of grief led by the Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern herself. And the reaction from the community has been more of supporting people who actually lost loved ones or victims of this attack. And it was a wake-up call for the country, and the Prime Minister has said it herself that, you know, things are not perfect here, but there is an effort now towards changing things. It's opened the country's eyes towards racism, towards Islamophobia, towards xenophobia, and you know, there is now acceptance of this. As you saw, even today, on social media, there was a lot of outpouring and support coming for people who were actually going to give these statements, for the Muslim community themselves, people coming out and showing their support in different ways. So although the intention of the attack was to divide, actually the opposite has happened here in New Zealand.